So the Independent Communications Authority of South Africa, that's ICASA, has announced that from today it will auction off high-demand spectrum. 6 bidders, including MTN, Telkom and Cell C, will be involved in that process. ICASA says this decision will provide a wider opportunity for competition in the mobile services sector, among other benefits. Let's unpack the story now. We're joined by tech expert Faizel Patel, who joins us via our video link. Faizel, the first spectrum auction in almost a decade. For those of us who aren't tech experts, why is this so important?
Good morning to you, Michelle, and good morning to the viewers. Yes, it's very, very important, as you rightly mentioned, after almost 10 years that ICASA is now going to be auctioning this particular spectrum. And the reason it's so important is because there's a number of spectrum wave bands that are being auctioned. So you're looking at 700, 800, 2600 and 3500. I know that's a bit technical, but the main one that most of the operators will be vying for is the 3500. Now the 3500, which is the 5G support one. A lot of the network operators want to roll out their 5G services across South Africa. We know that mobile handset has become very sophisticated, including tablets and many other computers as well. So in order for them to roll out these 5G services, they need bandwidth. But I must make it clear that there are 2 auctions, Michelle. The one is happening today between 10 and 12. That is called the opt-in auction. So where bidders have to physically go in and hand in the bids between 10 and 12 o'clock. The main auction will take place on the 10th of March, which is also this week. Also, I must make it clear that there's 2 tier options. There's a tier 1 option and there's a tier 2 option. The opt-in option that we see today on the 8th is the tier 2 option and includes only 4 bidders, which is Cell C, Liquid Telecom, Rain Networks, and Telkom. So Vodacom and MTN will not be part of the opt-in tier 2 option.
So the 3,500 megahertz that you talk about, Faizel, that's the 5G spectrum band. Obviously, as you say, all of the companies will be vying for that option. How many of them can actually buy it? Is it only one company that can buy the 3,500 megahertz band?
Well, 4 companies are bidding for it. There will be only 2 successful winners in there, which is for the 3,500 and for the 2,600. But remember that, I mean, if you look at the operators that you have there, Liquid Telecom, Rain, Cell C, and Telkom. Telkom also is part or is a subsidiary or open service subsidiary of Telkom, and Telkom and OpenServe then supplies the fiber cabling for many of the internet service providers you have there. And if you notice that during the pandemic period, especially last year around March sometime, ICASA actually gave this bandwidth, not gave, but I would say allowed this bandwidth to be used by the network operators because a lot of people were working at home. So the 3,500 is very, very important. I mean, it just increases your speed, it makes it easier to work, and there's a whole lot of services that come with it as well. So that's the one that these 4 will be vying for.
Yeah. So the importance of this licensing process, Faizel, it's around, as you say, improving coverage, improving the speed of your network. It's also around enhancing competition in the mobile services sector. Given all of the potential benefits, why has it taken ICASA this long to start this process?
Well, I mean, they've just been delayed, there's a whole lot of red tape that goes with it. They decided who to give it to, who not to give it to. And the mobile operators for years, I mean, I've attended a number of conferences where I've spoken to Shamil Joseph from Vodacom and some people from MTN, even Cell C. One of the things that South Africa experiences is high data prices. If you look at the moment, to buy a 2 gig data bundle costs you around 149 rand. And when I asked Shamil at one of these conferences, why is this data so expensive compared to other countries where you can get 2 gigs for like probably less than 80 rand, he said that no, they need more spectrum, and this is one of the issues that they've been grappling with. But obviously, I mean, that aside, it is good news for the mobile companies, and it may be good news for us, because one of the things that many South Africans are relying on and are dependent on, as opposed to voice and SMS these days, is the data networks, and fiber especially. The fiber at the moment is not bad, it's quite reasonable, but hopefully with this bandwidth being allocated or being bid for by one of these operators, we should see, as you said, a greater significance and better services, but also probably a possible reduction in the cost of data.
Yeah, let's hope so. And hopefully one of those benefits will also be more coverage in rural areas, bringing rural areas up to the same kind of level as the coverage we see in urban areas.
Yeah, that's absolutely something that I've been vying for. I've spoken to the Deputy Minister of Communication and Technology before, because one of the areas that didn't have that kind of infrastructure was Lenasia South. But there are so many other rural areas. We're living in an internet age where, connectivity is so important to bridge the gap between the different nations. I mean, you can speak to people from across the world. We've seen the Russian crisis, and we're bridging that gap because of technology. But you have also the Starlink by Elon Musk, which is also making it possible to have internet connectivity. But with this, bandwidth, there can be maybe portable towers that can be set up, or infrastructure that can be set up in rural areas, that we can connect the even remotest parts of South Africa to the grid.
Yeah, certainly. How much money do you reckon is going to be generated in this online spectrum auction today?
Well, a lot of money for the first, because I'm sure that the Finance Minister, Eric Gondwana, will be quite happy. We're looking at about approximately 8 billion rand for the fiscus that the spectrum will bring in for the country. So that's actually quite good, and that will probably assist. What they're going to be using it for, obviously, is a different story, but hopefully they can use that to up South Africa's communication services.
Yeah, certainly. Plenty of benefits, hopefully, on the cards for consumers as finally ICASA begins this first spectrum auction in almost a decade. Faizel Patel, let me thank you for your time this morning. Thanks so much for giving us some analysis on all of the important issues there.